More people are going to university, as in affluent areas it is offered as their only option. In other schools, small numbers of students are hand-picked by teachers to be groomed for university. However, dropout rates are far higher in the hand-picked students who are from lower income families. This is because even with loans, they cannot afford to pay for both their education and their necessities. This issue is directly relevant to us as graduating students. We are coming up to a day that is the culmination of all our hard work for 3 years. This should be a day to celebrate. Instead, there will be a shadow clouding our excitement about entering into the real world.
At the end of our degree, we will each owe the government, on average, £40,000. It is unlikely that all of us will be able to pay it all off within our lifetimes. 2/3 of students will never pay off their student loans. They will instead make payments on it for about 30 years before it is written off by the government, being left unpaid. While we've been accumulating this debt that will, in all likelihood, never be paid off, some students have still not always been able to live comfortably.
So how do you feel as a graduated student with the amount of debt that you accumulated in your 3-4 years here?
Okay, so I was quite fortunate. I didn't have the high rate of fees to pay because I graduated 10 years ago. It was a lot of money, don't get me wrong, it was a lot of money, but because it's only like a 1%, 2% interest rate and you don't have to pay it back up after 25 years, like there's a good chance you'll get a job, I thought, at that stage, like to pay it all off in time.
How do you feel as a graduating student with the amount of debt that you've accumulated?
Absolutely terrified. I'm really worried that any job that I do get either isn't going to pay above the threshold to repay my student loan debt, or if it does, I'm going to have to pay a lot of my student loan debt off a month, which is going to negatively impact any kind of earnings that I get in the future, which is quite worrying.
I think the debt is somewhat understandable, in as much as obviously a university's got to keep running, they've got to pay lecturers, they've got to keep amenities up and things like that. But considering we are essentially investing in our own futures, and lots of us who get degrees will go into public service jobs, thereby giving back to the government, I think it's just far, far too expensive. I'm coming out of my degree nearly £50,000 in debt, which is a bit ridiculous when all I wanted to do was come to university to get more educated and to better myself, really. And it seems a pretty high price to pay just to be a better person.
The amount of debt, it's a bit shit, isn't it? I mean, well, it's just a bit shit because the people who are making us pay for university got it for free. So it's a lot of debt, it's a lot of money hanging over you for the rest of your adult life.
Research for the National Union of Students finds that student spending outstrips incomes from loans, leaving many whose parents cannot afford to subsidise them without the means to pay basics, such as food and heating. Because after all, paying for education is more important than eating, right? Alternatively, for these students, part-time jobs are required so they can subsidise themselves when their parents can't. This results in their studies being put second in order of importance, and so higher dropout rates occur. According to the NUS report, Class Dismissed, Getting In and Getting On in Further and Higher Education, the dropout rates from university are highest among working class students, who are more likely to be in debt averse than their wealthier peers, yet can end up paying more. We have to jump through hoops to get a degree for a job, so more people pursue a degree. It's becoming more common to have a degree in their jobs which you wouldn't have needed 30 years ago. We should be focused on education, not marketisation. Our education is not for your profit.
When you did graduate, did you manage to find a job paying within the threshold?
My last summer, I spent pretty much the entire time writing CVs and sending them out. Like I went through the whole Graduate Times Top 100, The Guardian Top 100, sent out all my CVs, and then a couple of companies came back to me, went to some graduate assessment type days, and I got a position to start in September. So I was fortunate, I would say, probably.
How has the job hunt been going?
It's really not great because there are so many graduates out there nowadays. I don't feel like getting my degree has really enabled me to unlock any doors that other people haven't.
Shall we say less than stellar. it's a very difficult job market at the minute. Unfortunately, these days, having a degree is not as special as it once was. More and more people are going to university and getting undergraduate degrees, so trying to find jobs is challenging. I think I have just about got one lined up, but it hasn't been without a lot of searching and a lot of interviewing along the way.
Pretty horrendous, because I don't know where I want to be in terms of the country, and everywhere seems to want, all the graduate jobs have hundreds of applicants, because everyone wants graduate jobs, and all the other kind of vocational jobs, people stopped going to school at 16 to train for them, so they're all gone. All the graduate jobs are gone, and generally they go from people who are like in like red brick unis or Oxford and Cambridge, so they get first dibs, and so it's kind of it's just hard to find anything that you in terms of a career, and then you just end up working in a dead end job for like 3 or 4 years.
What's been the most significant response from employers? Like, for example, if you get rejected from a job, is it largely because you don't have the experience?
Yeah, that's a real issue actually. Experience is crazy. I've applied for some sort of graduate intern positions, and even though they want straight graduates, they still want you to have like key experience outside of your degree in your relevant field. So, for example, work experience at other areas, and sort of like general skill certifications in sort of my area of expertise. And while focusing on my degree, I haven't exactly thought about sort of doing those extracurricular kind of things, and it's really kind of hampered me in the sort of internship and job market.
Far and away, the vast majority of them, it was all experience needed. So many of them would say, you need a degree, which is great because that's what I'll hopefully have. But then they all came back and said, and you also need X amount of years of experience, 2 years, 3 years, in an industry, which, being a graduate who went straight from sixth form into university, I haven't had the time to get. So finding a job is certainly considerably more challenging, because not only am I fighting against 20 other people with a completely equivalent degree to me, but I'm fighting against people who may have had the chance to get experience, which apparently is worth more than a degree these days.
Generally, that you need more experience or more experience in that particular area, which is just kind of difficult at the age of 21, because I mean, a lot of people, if they're in uni, have done what I've done, and they've gone through school and then either to college or sixth form, and at those times you're told to focus on your studies, don't waste time with a job because you need to study for exams to get good GCSEs to get into A levels, and then good A levels to get into uni, and then when you get to uni there's so much going on, and it's difficult to get a job in uni anyway, because especially in somewhere like Aberystwyth, everyone has limited jobs, so a lot of people don't have that much experience with jobs because they've been in education for their entire lives, and then they get out of uni and they're fucked because they haven't got anything on their CV to show for themselves, because they've been in education trying to prove themselves. So it's just kind of a never-ending circle, really, a vicious, shitty circle.
We took inspiration from Pussy Riot and the way that they extended the timeline of their protest through the use of social media, specifically their YouTube videos. We found it very interesting how, even though Pussy Riot's physical protest was interrupted and eventually shut down, they still managed to convey their full message and anger by uploading this video. This video shows Pussy Riot marching into the Cathedral of Christ the Saviour in Moscow, Russia. They did this to demonstrate and publicly denounce the Russian Orthodox Church and its ties to the President of Russia, Vladimir Putin. When the 5 women began to sing, security guards immediately attempted to remove the women from the centre of the church. Although their performance was cut short, the women were able to sing the majority of their song, Punk Prayer, Mother of God, Drive Putin Away. Although the cathedral was almost empty, the video of Pussy Riot's performance and violent removal from the church became popular online, boosted through social media. We were also inspired by Occupy Newcastle University, where the students took control of the Humanities building for 17 days. They did this to protest the proposed university cuts in humanities departments and lecturer pensions. What is devastating about this targeting of humanities, arts, social sciences is that they are targeting anything that is critical or creative. What was particularly interesting about these protests was that they were dominated by young people who also took a leading role in organising and facilitating the protests. This included numerous meetings and diverse forms of resistance aimed at challenging government policy. Claiming space is a key strategy that they employed in order to advance their movements and promote an alternative version of what society should be like. School occupation is not, as the corporate media like to portray it, a hostile takeover. A school occupation is an action by those who are already its inhabitants, students, faculty and staff, and those for whom the school exists.